Good afternoon, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome you all here to the new era at Wrexham AFC with the appointment of a manager with a proven track record and vast experience in the game. We had some very strong candidates, and it took some working out to get everything over the line, but Phil was always top of the list, of a well-qualified list as well. It was important, obviously, that we found somebody who, along with their assistant, matches our values and the culture of the club and the community of Wrexham. I want to thank our colleagues for the investment in the rigorous process to find the manager who shares the chairman's ambitions and who can help us deliver a playing squad to drive us forward with entertaining football, and who we can be proud of. We're delighted to have attracted a candidate of this calibre to the racecourse ground, so I'd like to welcome our new manager of Wrexham AFC, Phil Parkinson.
So whenever you're ready, please, Michael.
Hiya, Phil. Can you hear me?
Hi, Michael. You okay? Yeah.
Lovely to meet you. First of all, congratulations. If you could just tell us, first of all, why Wrexham?
Obviously, I initially spoke to Les Reed, and he spoke to me about the plans for the club, etc. And obviously, I know all about Wrexham anyway because of its history and its stature in the game. Then I spoke to Rob. And he just sold the vision of and the plans for the club going forward, and I just thought, what an exciting project to be part of. And I was really keen to play my part in the journey that the club's about to embark on. And yeah, it's a great challenge, and it's one I'm really looking forward to.
Did you envisage working for obviously a club with two Hollywood owners? It's a very unusual situation.
Yeah, it's certainly different, but taking the status in Hollywood away, it's their kind of the genuine determination to make a mark in this football club and the area, which really appeals to me, because they're so committed to putting into practice what that they've promised, and like I said, I'm determined to give everything I've got to play my part in that.
You're probably experienced as a manager as well, to know there are owners who, different backgrounds aside, you can't always be sure that what you're being told by owners is the truth. But with these two, it definitely seems like they want Wrexham on that fast track to the Football League.
Without doubt, I've met a lot of owners in my career, met a lot of people in football, and one thing which really impressed me was the structure the owners have put in place to run the football club. I think that's absolutely key, because success, doesn't come easy. It's got building blocks have got to be put in place in clubs all the way through, and their aim is to improve all aspects of the football club and make this club strong for many years to come.
Hey, Michael, we'll pass on to Beth Fisher from ITV Wales now.
Hi, nice to meet you. Congratulations on the role. First, most important question I'll probably get all day is, do you have a TikTok account?
No, I haven't actually. No, I've got a few nieces and nephews who have, and yeah, but no, I haven't.
No, it's seriously exciting times for not just the club, for the town as well. Obviously, the ambition of the club is not just the men's team, it's the whole community, it's the women's side as well. How important is it to you that diversity and inclusion is all about Wrexham and getting on board with that?
Yeah, well, a successful football team can have a huge impact on an area, and my job is to produce that successful team to lift the area. And I've been at clubs before where I've achieved that, and the whole community can be lifted by a team which the area can be proud of, and that is my aim, is to get a team on the pitch the Wrexham supporters and wider community can really identify with and be proud of.
It could be an exciting few years, decades, centuries, who knows. How excited are you to be kind of in this position in the first place?
Yeah, very much so. I'm really looking forward to getting started next week with the players. Pre-season starts next week, but also working hard to recruit additional players, because the squad needs a lot of work on it. But I'm confident that we can, over the next 6 to 7 weeks, build a squad which is strong as anything else in the league, and which will give us a great chance of achieving the ultimate goal, which is promotion.
Then I'll pass over to David Richardson from the Non-League paper.
Hi Phil, many congratulations on.
Thank you.
What's the objective you've been given from those above you for this season?
Well, obviously, the aim is to get out of the division. I think that's clear. I think the process to achieve that has got to be understood, and that's about improving all areas of the football side of the club. The professionalism of everything about the training ground and the way the players train, preparation, recovery after games. Embracing the sports science side of football, because it's so important as clubs progress through the leagues. That becomes even more important. So making sure all areas are improved and there's a strong platform for the club to keep flourishing. But obviously, immediately, the aim is to get a team on the pitch or build a squad, which we feel is confident to be right at the very top of the league.
Yeah, it's the first time you've experienced non-league, I believe, but clearly you haven't had many concerns about sort of coming down to the level.
No, because it's more the challenge and kind of the vision and of the owners which appeal to me, because I've worked at some good clubs, but I looked at Wrexham and I thought it reminds me a little bit of when I went to Bradford. They were struggling at the time, and we put things in place and played my part in lifting that club, and it reminds me of that, and I want to do everything I can to do the same here.
Yeah, and you sort of spoke there about the stability and the ideas behind the scenes about what the club wants to do. Is it nice knowing you'll be at a club like that that's trying to do things in the right way, perhaps compared to some of the experiences you've had at previous clubs in the Football League where you've been successful, but it's been made perhaps more difficult by some of the background noise and some of the things that have been out of your control?
Yeah, I think as a manager, all you can ask for that you don't want to be firefighting with problems off the pitch. You want to be able to concentrate on the training ground and preparing the team and recruiting the players. And like I said earlier, the one thing which really appealed to me about coming here was the structure which has been put in place to support the manager, the assistant manager, and the football side of the club, and that is key. And you can look at teams who've been successful and who've sometimes overachieved in the game. Quite often they've got a strong structure of good football people running the football club to enable the manager to get on with his job.
Okay, we'll pass on now to James Nursey from the Mirror.
Hi Phil, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You mentioned some nephews and nieces there earlier, I think. I mean, presumably they must be quite excited that you'll be working for a couple of Hollywood stars now. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. They're very excited about that, and yeah, that's great. It's great for myself, my family. Everyone's really looking forward to it. I'm going to embrace the challenge, and yeah, it is exciting, and it's for the area as well, to the exposure Wrexham's had in recent months, and well, hopefully that will gather more momentum as we get a winning team on the football pitch.
Have you had a chance to speak to either of the movie men yet? Yes,
I spoke to Rob at length last week. Had a very long chat with him on Zoom call, and it was very interesting, actually. Very, very interesting, and he's got an incredible passion for being successful at this football club.
From what I've seen and read, there's talk of a Wrexham docuseries. Is that right? Is that your understanding that that will be taking place, and you'll obviously be part of that, will you? Yeah, that's that's been explained to me in the interview process, and yeah, it's something I've dealt with before. I've been aware of other clubs before, and it's part of being a manager, and you've got to embrace that as well.
Thanks, James. I'll pass over now to Nathan Salt from the Mail Online.
Hi, Phil. Congratulations on the job. I know it's been a long process for everyone. I just wanted to get you talking about the structure, and you mentioned it a few times. Can you shed any light on that for supporters in terms of what structure you are actually working with? I know we've got Fleur, Les, Sean, and others.
Yeah.
How will they help you? And kind of, are you in charge of player recruitment? Is that something Les will look after? Can you shed any light on that?
Yeah, I mean, myself and Les will work together on that, and you know, obviously, while this process has been in place, Les has been working behind the scenes on that, and he's a very, very well-respected person in the game, someone I've known before, and I'm looking forward to working with Les. You know, look what he did at Southampton, and the way he put a structure in place for that club, you know, was incredible. And yeah, so the recruitment side, and you know, Les is going to put things in place in terms of the medical department, etc. But yeah, I'll be working very closely with him on that.
And also for, you know, looking into the job, and I'm sure, you know, you've been having lots of interviews and whatnot. Of the current squad, what have you made of what we've actually got here already? There's a lot of excitement about Jordan Davis as, you know, taking the number 7 shirt. Someone like Luke Young, 2-time player of the year. You've got a lot of tools here that narrowly missed out. It's not a rip up and start again, is it?
No, not at all. I think there's some good players, and I'm pleased with the ones who've remained at the club, because you know, some good players, good ages, good athleticism in certain areas. There's gaps in the squad. We know that. I think any supporter will be looking at that, and they know where we need to fill those gaps. But we're aware of that, and we're already working towards that. But the core of the players in the building, you know, for me, are all going to play a big part, and I'm looking forward to meeting them next week.
And the last one from me was just the message to the supporters. You know, a lot of people have been looking at your record and getting very excited. The brand of football you're looking to play, is that something that will bring supporters back and will get people off their seats?
Yeah, I mean, you know, ideally we want to play with high energy and press high up the pitch, and that's, you know, I want to utilize the passionate supporters we've got at Wrexham to really get out the seats and get behind the team, and they will do that if they can identify with the football they're seeing on the pitch. So I know how I'd like to play. Now the challenge is to recruit the players and work with the existing ones to be able to implement that.
And thanks, Nathan. And finally, let's got Thomas Davis from Global Radio, and then there'll be a chance at the end of this for anyone else that wants to ask further questions.
Good afternoon, Phil. My first question is, what are you going to be saying to younger footballers in the region who may have caught the interest of much bigger clubs?
Yeah, younger players at the club now.
Younger players at the club now, but any up and coming footballers who may be catching your eye.
Yeah, to attract them to the club. So, well, yeah, I mean, you know, I've got to do my part to attract players to the club, and the ones I want to get are the ones which may be tough to get, and we've got to compete with other clubs for. But it's my job is to sit around, explain to them the plans of the club, the structure in place, and where I feel the club's going to go, and try and convince those players to come on board. And you know, we want players who are going to be part of a journey. You know, we want players who are going to grow with the club. And that is the remit myself and Les are working towards. And yeah, and we want players in the local area to want to come and play for the hometown club. I mean, I think that is absolutely key. And you know, as the image and the profile of the club improves, I'm sure that won't be a problem.
Thanks. And finally, is there anything particular about the town of Wrexham or the people of Wrexham that appeals to you?
It's just that, you know, I know Wrexham is a real football town in terms of there's great passion for the club, and there's a determination to get right behind the team. I can sense that already. And like I say, as much as I'm looking forward to meeting the players, it'll be great to be managing at this stage, and you know, with a lot of people in there right behind us.
Okay, thanks, Thomas. And then we've got Michael Perlman's already asked for extra questions to start there. If anyone else wants to ask a question, could you use the raise hands feature on the Zoom? We'll start with Michael now.
Hi, Phil. Just two more from me, if I may.
Yep, no problem.
Obviously, Bolton, Sunderland, and you mentioned Bradford before. Really, really big clubs, all
Yeah.
of which, when you took over, were maybe not where they could be.
Yeah.
Do you kind of view Wrexham as an extension of that, and maybe even the biggest kind of? I know it's a cliche, but they're a real sleeping giant. You could make the case.
Yeah, that's the sleeping giant phrase. I think is so apt for this club, and I think as a manager you use all your experiences and you take them into your next job. And I've gained a lot of experience right back to my first ever job, which is Colchester United, going through the other jobs, and I want to bring that experience along with Steve Parkin to the table here, and do everything I can to get this club back where it belongs.
And just finally from me, on the documentary, I think you're on record as saying in the past on Sunderland Till I Die that if you had a choice of whether or not the cameras were on you, it would be a no. So I just wonder, obviously, you've decided it's worth doing with Wrexham, but I just wonder, did it give you kind of any pause for thought? Because they've promised access all areas. So it's I guess that is going to be a big factor for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, I've spoke about at length with Sean, who's here, and Les and Rob, and yeah, it's important for the area, important for the image of the club. Obviously, it's not going to detract on us preparing the team to win on a Saturday afternoon, and that's the key. So, of course, there is access, but there's certain times that we've got to be left to concentrate on what we've got to do, and I think there's an understanding of that.
We've got one more question from Nathan Salt coming in.
Yeah, last one from me, Phil. When you look at your CV, supporters are seeing promotions at multiple clubs and cup runs and whatnot. Yeah. Was there any part of you in the process that felt like it's a gamble dropping out of the Football League when you've got such an accomplished CV that if it doesn't go right, you're kind of stuck in non-league still? Is there any worries about that at all?
No, I mean, I think every job you go into, there's an element of gamble, but sometimes you've got to back yourself, and that's what I do. And I weigh everything up, along with Steve. We looked at everything, looked at the club, spoke to the owners, looked at every part of the club, looked at the existing players, looked at the other teams in the league, and thought, come on, let's have a real go at this, because I think we've got a good chance of building something.
Thanks, Nathan. Dave Richardson's got another question as well.
Hi, Phil. I'm just wondering what the last 6 months have been like for you, or so since you've been out of the game. What have you sort of tried to be up to?
Yeah, just spending time with family, keeping fit. I ran a marathon, trained for a marathon on my own, and just ran a marathon. Been cycling, keeping fit, watching a lot of football. At all divisions. I think that's very important when you're out of the game as a manager, that you keep looking at players. And I've been fortunate to have a system at home and on my laptop, which I've got access to all games at all levels. So each day I've spent a bit of time doing that, because once you get back in a job, you've got to know instantly that you've got your knowledge of players has got to be good. And I've made sure that I've kept up to date on that. But yeah, enjoyed a break, but itching to get back involved again. And I've been in football for a long time as a player and as a manager, and when you're not in, you do really miss it.
And final question from James Nursey.
Hi, Phil. Just going back to something you touched on there with Michael about where and sort of when Netflix, the TV show, can film. You seem to suggest there might be clear boundaries that maybe they're not allowed in before a pre-match team talk or halftime or something like that. Is that how it's going to work?
I mean, details, will be ironed out, but I think one of the most important things is the team's successful, and there is, I'm going to embrace the camera crew, etc. But obviously, there is certain times that the door will be closed. It might not be at half time in the game. It might be at the training ground where. So yeah, obviously that may happen, but kind of we'll work that out as we go along, and yeah, we'll make sure everyone's happy with the arrangement.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in with today's call.